Hey there my lovelies, and welcome to my BookTube channel, the Sassy Fox. My name is V, and today we're going to talk about young adult things. And I'm saying it like that with things because I noticed there are some things, some tropes, and I don't know, just the little details that happen in young adult books a lot. Of course, they also happen in other books and in other genres, but it's something I really noticed really often in young adult books. So everything I say today, you better take it with a grain of salt because at times this video might get salty. So I'm already sorry for that, but there are some things I just need to talk about and I gotta let it out. So yeah, this is basically a discussion video and feel free to join me on the ride. So the first young adult thing I noticed in books, and I still notice, is that some of the characters get angry, frustrated, or I don't know what, and then there comes the sentence where they press their fingernails into their palm and it draws blood. So, yeah, I don't know if you already tried this, but no matter how hard I do this here, it just doesn't draw blood. I mean, yeah, you can see a little bit of, I'm going to show it, a little bit of the nails here, but that's it. No person could possibly clench their fist so hard that the fingernails draw blood. If you are actually a person that managed to do that, please tell me and let me know. I'd really want to hear how hard you had to do this to draw blood. So yeah, that's always something I notice in young adult books, and I can't help but wonder about it. I mean, maybe if you are a vampire or a werewolf, you have a lot of strength, and I think like that is possible. But for normal human beings, it seems not to be possible. I think I will call this the Fingernail Myth. That was the first thing. The second thing I want to talk about is that my boyfriend has stalkerish tendencies trope. And if you read young adult books, I'm sure you're familiar with this one. I'm not going to mention a particular certain book here, but vampires is definitely a word that will get you on the right track. I don't know. Am I the only person that thinks such tropes are a tiny bit problematic? Because it happens really often in young adult books, and for some reason, no one thinks this is weird. I mean, the characters follow their love interest everywhere. They stalk them while they sleep and watch over them. I don't know. It's actually, I personally would be creeped out if my love interest would do something like that. But we're in the young adult genre and it's all good. So that's one of the tropes I can't help but wonder about. And I think it's a little bit problematic, but well, apparently no one who reads young adult thinks the same way as me, so yeah. I'm probably the only one. I don't know. Do you think it's problematic and creepy if your boyfriend follows you everywhere and watches over you while you sleep and you're not even his girlfriend at the moment, or not yet. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I actually have no words for this, so I just come to the next one. You already see this is me being a little bit salty, and just to say it here, I love the young adult genre. I love to read in it, but sometimes there are just things I can't help but think about. The next one, which I'm sure every single one of you who ever read young adult is aware of, is the typical sentence when a character had something happen to them and they were so excited and so in the moment that they didn't know they had been holding a breath. And of course, because they didn't know that they have been holding their breath, they let it out or released it. And then we have the nice sentence with, I don't know, he let out a breath she didn't know, or they didn't know they'd been holding. So, honestly, if you read in the young adult genre and never came across a sentence like that, please raise your hand and tell me which kind of books you read, because I want to read them too. Everyone else who wasn't as lucky as the single person who probably just raised their hand must have experienced that sentence at some point, and they come in various and different forms, but they basically happen in almost every young adult book I know. I can't even think of a book that didn't mention this one, honestly. And there's actually an author on Goodreads I've been following and interacting with, and she's called Nania Campbell, and she's known for disliking this in her books. And I think I loved that quote she put into one of her books, and it goes like this: "She let out the breath she knew full well she'd been holding." And I just loved it. It's perfect. It's really perfect, and it works against that trope so well. So yeah, I love that quote. Which brings me right to the next thing in young adult books I noticed. There's always a girl that is unlike all the other girls. Yes, that's me being salty again. Sorry. But I think we all know this. We all saw it multiple times in books, that there is just this special snowflake character who isn't like other girls. And yeah, it happens way too often. It happens so often. And she isn't just like all the other girls. Either she is a princess or something else, or she just is a normal girl that for the love interest isn't like all the other girls. And it happens so often. It's yeah. I recently read this in an old young adult series I just picked up, and the male character's words basically were like, "You're not like other girls. So that's because I'm stalking you." So yes, it is still a thing in young adult, and it probably will be a thing in young adult for a long time to come. I'm calling it the special snowflake trope. Yeah, and now we come to another myth that is in almost every young adult book I ever read, and it's the "I can smell your scent" myth. I have a lot of thoughts on this, a lot of thoughts, because quite honestly, I mean, probably the way to talk yourself out of this is that you're either a werewolf or a vampire and therefore can smell like a dog and have better, I don't know, smell nerves than other people. But even then, even let's say even if you have a supernatural sense of smelling and smell as good as a dog, people wouldn't smell like pepper or sandalwood or I don't know, vanilla. They would just smell like people and probably like the perfume they use. I mean, if someone comes near me, I probably smell like mango and summer, because that's my perfume. Uh, so yes, I definitely would smell like mango and fresh apples, but that's just because of my hair shampoo and because of my perfume. People usually don't smell like things like that. So this is something I really find pretty particular, and it's basically in every book, even even if the book isn't some sort of supernatural book, if there are no werewolves and if there are no vampires or something that would explain that super scent smell. So yeah, that's some sort of thing I always wonder about in books. But okay, let's just say characters smell like snowflakes or like vanilla pudding or I don't know. Let's just say it's possible to smell like that. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. And last but not least, a trope and something that happens in a lot of young adult books with supernatural topics like werewolves and vampires and just, I don't know, people that can't die. The I'm just calling it like that now. The my love interest is 500 years my senior, but we're still fine trope. And this is in basically every young adult fantasy book that deals with characters that are 400, 500, or even more years old. And it's, yeah, it's something that never ceases to amaze me, how people can be angry about, let's say, a contemporary book where the girl is 19 years old and the boy is 24, so that makes 5 years difference. By the way, just to tell you how it is in Austria. In Austria, you would be considered an adult with 19 years old because you're of full age with 18. And over here, it would be no big deal to have 5 years difference. And somewhere along the years, if the person is 29 and the love interest is 24, no one will say or do anything about it. So yeah, in contemporary books, I saw a lot of people complain that there is this huge age gap of 5 years and how horrible that is. But for some reason, no one ever wonders about the young adult approach to this, because, I mean, come on, seriously, there are characters that are 500 years old and their love interest is 16 or 17. I find that highly problematic. Not that I'm not reading those books, I love those books, as I said already before, but I don't know. I have no words for this. Seriously. Usually I always have words for everything. I'm never speechless. But when I think about a 500-year-old character that is with a 16 or 17-year-old, yeah. I mean, in contemporary books, people always say that they are at different stages of their lives and that therefore the age gap is problematic. And I think if you are a 19-year-old boy dating a 14-year-old girl, that is definitely true, because with 14 years you have a completely different life than a person who's 19. But as you grow older, and when you're back to being that 19-year-old person with a 24-year-old person, you have some common ground again. So yes, everything under that would be problematic, but the older you get, the less problematic it becomes, if that makes sense. Because you have the same goals, you're both standing in your life, you're both working, and you both want to get children at some point or not, I don't know. But you know what I mean. You're going in the same direction and you're having similar interests. With a 500-year-old character who's a fairy or a vampire or I don't know what, dating a 16-year-old or 17-year-old human, your life interest must be miles away. But apparently this isn't bothering anyone. So probably, yeah, it shouldn't bother me as well, but it somehow does. Yeah. So that's something I always have to laugh about, because in young adult books people accept this at face value, and when you have a 5 age gap in contemporary books, it's scandalous and a taboo. So for some reason I find it highly amusing. I don't know if you're with me or not on this one. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, because I can't be the only one who thinks it's problematic that a 500-year-old person is dating a 17-year-old. Please tell me I'm not the only one, please. Yeah, so that's always something funny. Anyway, I'm already at the ending of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry if I was a little bit salty in here. You all know I love young adult and the genre as a whole. I love to read vampire stories. I'm a real sucker for werewolf stories and for, I don't know, everything else as well. I just love fantasy and magic books, and this happens a lot in young adult. Fantasy and young adult is very tightly knit together. So yeah, don't take this video all too serious. But I really would love to hear if some of you noticed this too. And as someone who reads a lot in the genre, I just stumble upon it over and over again. I really would like to hear if this happens to you too, if you thought about this already, if I just made you think about this and you realized, oh yes, this is happening a lot. And if you know young adult books that have none of the things I just mentioned, please let me know and write it down in the comments below so I can check those books out. Yeah, so this said, we're already at the ending of my video. I hope you enjoyed the salty side of me. And I hope you're still healthy and safe. Take care and see you around the next time. I probably or hopefully won't be as salty then. So, bye!